if you as a parent feel, you're going to feel it here. This is what I've heard every parent say. I thought there was something weird about the guy, but I couldn't put my finger on it. That is your inner voice telling you there is something wrong here and you need to pay attention to your inner voice. Everybody has it. I've got it. Sometimes I pay attention to it, sometimes I don't. And when I don't, I usually regret it. So pay attention to the inner voice and become aware. And you can do things. You can make sure that your child is never alone with that person. If it hasn't gotten to the point where there's an established, this is a child molester, but you still have some worry about it, you can make sure that that person is never alone with your child. Okay, let's say that person is part of a youth group, church youth group, Boy Scouts, whatever. Make sure your child's never alone with them. And make sure your child knows you don't want them to be with that person. Sit your child down and say, look, I don't want you being alone with Gary. He's a bad guy. I'm not, I can't tell you exactly what it is, but I just don't want you to be alone with him. And if he asks you to be alone, don't allow it to happen. You resist it. And then you report it. Okay, so for a parent, you listen to the inner voice, you make yourself available to be present when your child say they have to be present with the teacher at some point or the scoutmaster, whoever it is. Make sure your child isn't alone with them, and then if you ever find out from any source that this person has been involved in inappropriate touching or talk or gift giving, you report it. You report it to whoever their employer is, whoever their superior is, and if you find out that it's child molestation, you report it to the police. You don't hold back. Even if the administrator or the employer says, oh, well, we'll handle it, we'll just kind of keep it quiet. Okay, that's happened in so many cases. That's why there are so many lawsuits around child abuse now. It's because the Catholic Church, Latter-day Saints Church, others have pushed down the expression of reporting in favor of let's just deal with it internally. That's what happened at Penn State. They tried to handle it internally and it didn't go anywhere. So in a situation where you have child molestation and you know it's happening or you have reason to believe it's happening, you can report it to the police and they will take it from there. Now, which reminds me, there is another aspect to child abuse reporting. In every state, there are mandatory child abuse reporting laws, and every state is different. Oregon and California have very good reporting statutes. Washington has to do some catch-up, but there are certain persons who are required by law to report to the police when they suspect that child abuse is going on, whether it's physical abuse or sexual abuse or emotional abuse. And those are people such as teachers, lawyers, doctors, counselors, anyone who typically has either some sort of connection with the law or with treating people, or who come into contact with kids. They are required to report to law enforcement, and the failure to do so is a crime. So let's say a child reports to a school principal or school superintendent, I was sexually molested by my school teacher. And the story is believable, not just some sort of imaginary thing. If there is reason to believe that that happened, there's an absolute obligation to tell the police about it. And if they don't, they can be held liable criminally. And there actually have been prosecutions in the educational field. I know this for, typically it's misdemeanor level type convictions, but it's a conviction nonetheless. I didn't, you know, if you don't report child abuse, you can be held criminally liable. So be careful if you're a mandatory reporter and you don't report it.